This is NTV.
The mountain gorilla is considered endangered species, with only about 720 mountain gorillas left in the world. And these live within 4 national parks split into 2 regions: Bwindi Impenetrable Forest National Park, Mahinga Gorilla National Park in Uganda, Volcanoes National Park in Rwanda, and Virunga National Park in the Democratic Republic of Congo. The gorilla is the largest of all living primates and has a robust build with long muscular arms, a massive chest, and broad hands and feet. It has longer and darker hair than other species, allowing it to live and travel at high altitudes where temperatures drop to below 0 degrees Celsius. The gorillas are nose prints unique to each individual. Male mountain gorillas stand up to an average height of 6 feet and weigh from 400 to 500 pounds, that is 227 kilograms, making them the largest of the great apes. Adult males are called silverbacks because they develop a streak of silver hair on their backs with maturity. The silverback is the leader and the ultimate protector of his band. The mountain gorilla is most active between 6 a.m. and 6 p.m. Most of this time is alternated between foraging, eating, and resting. They are herbivores and consume large amounts of vegetation. Adult males can eat up to 34 kilograms of vegetation a day, while a female can eat as much as 18 kilograms. Females reach breeding age at about 10 years old. They typically bear young every 4 to 5 years, giving birth after a gestation period of 8 to 9 months. The mountain gorilla is generally shy but highly social and lives in relatively stable, cohesive groups of up to 35 individuals. These groups are made up of 1 silverback, 1 or 2 blackbacks, a few mature female juveniles, and infants.
Giraffe is named after the renowned British zoologist Lionel Walter Rothschild. It's the second most endangered giraffe subspecies with only a few hundred members. All of those that are living in the wild are in protected areas in Uganda and Kenya. The Rothschild giraffes have the basic appearance of other giraffe subspecies: long legs, a long leg with 7 elongated vertebrae, and a local barred coat. base of the lake has spires which project upward and form a hump over the shoulders. They have anchor muscles that hold the neck upward. But they are taller, measuring up to 6 meters, ranking as the tallest of all mammals, with an adult male weighing up to 2,000 kilograms. A giraffe's heart can weigh up to 10 kilograms and measure about 60 centimeters in length. This is the only subspecies to be born with 5 horns. 2 of these are true horns on the top of the head, in common with all giraffes. The third horn can be often seen in the center of the giraffe's forehead and the other 2 behind each ear. Giraffe is named after the renowned British zoologist Lionel Walter Rothschild. It's the second most endangered giraffe subspecies with only a few hundred members. All of those that are living in the wild are in protected areas in Uganda and Kenya. The Rothschild giraffes have the basic appearance of other giraffe subspecies: long legs, a long leg with 7 elongated vertebrae, and a leopard-like coat. The base of the leg has spines which project upward and form a hump over the shoulders. They have anchor muscles that hold the neck upward. But they are taller, measuring up to 6 meters, ranking as the tallest of all mammals, with an adult male weighing up to 2,000 kilograms. A giraffe's heart can weigh up to 10 kilograms and measure about 60 centimeters in length. This is the only subspecies to be born with 5 horns. 2 of these are true horns on the top of the head, in common with all giraffes. The third horn can be often seen in the center of the giraffe's forehead and the other 2 behind each ear. Giraffes can inhabit savannas, grasslands, or open wetlands. They are herbivorous, preferring areas enriched with acacia growth. Their long legs are used to browse through leaves and drink large quantities of water. As a result, they can spend long periods of time in dry, arid areas without drinking. A giraffe can eat 63 kilograms of leaves and trees daily. Giraffes have 4 stomachs just like cows, so their carb needs to travel all the way up their neck. They are sociable, tolerant animals, with the female giraffes living in groups of a dozen or so members, including cows. Younger males tend to live in battle herds, with older males often leading solitary lives. Unlike most mammals, giraffes walk using both legs from the same side of the body simultaneously. When alone, giraffes can reach speeds of 40 to 36 miles per hour. The Rothschild giraffes have a
This is NTV.
Fresh tribal revenge attacks leave 38 dead in Kenya.
This as violence escalates between pastoral and farming communities.
Tonight, questions linger as the death toll from ethnic clashes in southeast Kenya hit the 100 mark in just a month.
Also tonight, is it a new dawn in Somalia as a new president is elected for the first time on Somali soil in decades?
And the National Drug Authority bans the sale of 67 drugs. It's on this issue that we would like to hear from you, so be sure to have your say on NTV poll.
Well, hello and thank you for joining us this Monday night, the 10th of September 2012. A very warm welcome to NTV Tonight. Here now are the rest of the headlines. Reaching a milestone, Somalia's parliament elects a new president in the latest step to end decades of war.
National Drug Authority slaps a ban on Indian pharmaceutical company as it orders 67 drugs off the shelves.
The clique that's there that I know of is the clique that's working with my deputy to topple me.
Also tonight, the gloves are off in the Chambogo probe. Vice-Chancellor Ndiege accuses his deputy of plotting a coup against him. Hello and thank you for joining us once again. I'm Gabriel Apeno.
And I am Rachel Arinitwe. First, more deaths have been registered following the latest in a series of tit-for-tat clashes between rival ethnic groups in southeast Kenya.
Well, the death toll following fresh tribal revenge attacks in Kilelengwani village in Tana River Delta has risen to 38.
Witnesses say the raiders were in an apparent revenge mission and are believed to be of the Pokomo tribe.
What are you telling us? What kind of peace we are discussing? Unamwaga maji ishamwagika. What are we doing now? I'm ready to die.
The deceased include 16 men, 5 women, 9 police officers and 8 children. The officers include 5 general service units, 2 administration police and 2 regular police officers. A temporary police camp recently set up in the village was vandalized during the attack, with 2 police vehicles burnt to shells. Police there also confirm that at least 5 guns are missing. The authorities say about 500 Pokomo raiders attacked the village and torched the police camp, and several other structures are down. This was in retaliation to last Thursday's incident, in which 13 Pokomos were killed when raiders from Oma struck Tarasa village in the area. Senior police officers at the scene said by midday today they could not account for at least 7 of their colleagues who were on duty at the time of the attacks.
2 people were burnt, almost beyond recognition, only that they knew that they are all people from these people. They were managed to know the names.
The attackers reportedly engaged officers in a shootout that lasted several hours. Tension is high in the area as police who are engaged in the clashes are calling for reinforcement. There are also fears that the violence could spill over into next year's general election in March. Nearly 100 people have now been killed in the clashes in the eastern Tana River district since last month.
Next tonight, Somalia's members of parliament have voted to elect a new president today in an election that some observers have described as being marred with bribery. The poll that attracted 25 candidates pits Somalia's current president Sheikh Sharif Ahmed against the prime minister and a host of other candidates, some drawn from the academia. It is the first time in many years that a president will be chosen on Somali soil. Chris Ochamringa has been following events there and now reports.
The elections in Somalia will be decided by members of parliament who voted by secret ballot at the capital, Mogadishu. The poll has attracted 25 candidates, with the main contenders being the current president, Sheikh Sharif Ahmed, the Prime Minister Abdiweli Mohammed and the main opposition figure Hassan Sheikh. Other candidates are prominent Somalis who have been living abroad. This is the first time an election is being held in Somalia in many years due to decades of violence, with all candidates promising to turn around the war-ravaged country. But a Ugandan political science lecturer, Dr. Aaron Mukwaya, is pessimistic about the outcome of the elections.
I don't think that when they have even the way the parliament was, members of parliament were chosen, these were not elected members of parliament. They were chosen members of parliament, and they were chosen on the basis of clan, of bribery, of pressure from the outside. There is too much pressure from the outside to create a new Somali dispensation.
The favorite candidate will have to secure a two-thirds majority before going to the second round of voting. Somali has been ravaged by violent clan disputes since 1991 and still comes under attack from the militant Islamic group, the Al-Shabaab.
Somalia is more or less in the state of Iraq. What happens when the AU, AMISOM, leave Somalia? It will go back to where it used to be.
Many observers contend that Somalia's election process is controlled by Western powers and are wary whether its outcome may have any significant change in the political landscape. Chris Ochamringa, NTV.
Well, according to BBC breaking news here, the president of Somalia, there is a new president in Somalia, is academic Hassan Sheikh, has been elected the new president of Somalia. This according to BBC breaking news. We shall have an update on developments in Somalia in our subsequent bulletins here on NTV. Moving on, Chambogo University Vice Chancellor Professor Isaiah Omolo Ndiege is accusing his deputy, Professor John Opuda Asibo, of heading a team that wants to kick him out of the university. Ndiege told lawmakers probing Chambogo this morning that Professor Asibo competed with him for the top job and from day one began maligning him. He told MPs on the Education Committee that top managers in the university are fighting because of the fraudulent financial actions he alleges they are involved in.
Wrangles within Chambogo University continue to deepen. The Vice Chancellor Professor Isaiah Omolo Ndiege today named his deputy Professor John Opuda Asibo as one of the people heading a section of staff to fight for his job.
The clique that's there that I know of is the clique that's working with my deputy to topple me.
Professor Ndiege, together with his deputy Asibo, competed for the same job 3 years ago, and Ndiege beat him to the top. He alleges that this is where trouble began.
I have had a very difficult time with my deputy. There's been a lot of insubordination. He has tried to divide staff. This group that is fighting me is actually working with him.
What started as financial mismanagement of Chambogo University, it continues to emerge that it's a fight for the top job. In fact, last week, a senior staff of Chambogo University accused the current Vice Chancellor that he illegally got the job.
Being a Japadola and he being a Jaluo, he tried so much to try and get information from me to go and downplay Professor Opuda Asibo. And I told him I'm above that. I sat through your interviews, I know what happened, I took the minutes, but between you and me, what I took down and what I recorded, I'll never disclose to you. I can give that information in camera if you so wish to tell you exactly what happened during that search process, because Senate did something which I think was not right, and the whole world doesn't know, but Christine Chayonka knows, and I'm not afraid to speak about it, given an opportunity.
Professor Ndiege says the university is marred with a lot of financial indiscipline, corruption and embezzlement of funds, and his attempt to close the tabs resulted into fighting his efforts.
The problem in Chambogo is that I have stopped people from getting fraudulent funds. My top management continued to earn both allowances, top up and responsibility allowance, despite the fact that the minutes of council were very clear that responsibility allowance is abolished. I have received vouchers which are paying people double. I remember one newspaper was being paid for an advert twice.
He also alleges that the chairman of the University Council, Professor John Okedi, is part of the group conniving to sell off 10 acres of university land.
Because I told you the chairman was for the land to be given away, but I am against it. And it is on record, minutes of council, that I did say, record that the VC has refused that land will be given to investors.
Ndiege claims that conflict of interest is the root cause of all the current problems because some of the staff and members of parliament are parents and guardians, while others have spouses within the university. He wants the petition referred to the judiciary.
Why don't you say, okay, let me take my day. Let me step aside. I'm a very obedient servant. If the powers that be feel that I am in the way, send me on forced leave, sack me, I will go. Universities have been closed in this country before. Makerere was closed last year for over 2 months. Did the VC step aside?
He said Chambogo University problems do not require political solutions. Jingo Francis, NTV.
Now, 67 different medicines, including paracetamol, amoxicillin, mebendazole, and folic acid that are manufactured by Flamingo Pharmaceuticals, an Indian drug company, have been banned from sale. The revelation was made by the National Drug Authority's Executive Secretary, Gordon Sematiko, who said that Flamingo Pharmaceutical factory premises were below NDA standards for current goods manufacturing practice. Sematiko has also ordered that all injectable medicines from the above firm be returned to India within 14 days for destruction. The National Drug Authority has also stopped the sale of all oral formulations from the Indian-based company, pending a report from inspectors. Solomon Seranja with that story.
We have deregistered all the 67 Flamingo products from the Uganda market.
The National Drug Authority's ban follows various inspection exercises carried out by its officials on the Flamingo Pharmaceutical factory premises in Mumbai, India, early in June. Gordon Sematiko, the Executive Secretary NDA, told NTV that the factory premises did not comply with the National Drug Authority's guidelines on current good manufacturing practices.
Now, these other drugs, it is the environment in which they are made. We don't have to wait to look at the quality, whether it is good. If you cook food next to a sewage pipe, even if the food looks nice or whatever, I don't have to test to see whether it didn't get contamination or not. So we don't want to take chances.
He also highlights complaints from different medical quarters that the drugs from the company, especially the injectable ones, are substandard. Some of Flamingo's medical products that have been banned include amoxicillin, an antibiotic, tetracycline, usually used as an eye drop for children, paracetamol, whose trade name is Rapido tablets, also used as a painkiller, ampicillin sodium injection, usually given to treat flu and cough, cetirizine tablets, usually used for treating flu and cough and allergy, 5 mg folic acid tablets, usually given to pregnant women, and mebendazole, usually given for deworming. Now, pharmacists from all across the country have started returning pharmaceutical products which have been manufactured by Flamingo Pharmaceuticals, a firm in India. All these medicines will be exported back to India in just a space of 2 weeks, an issue that has raised eyebrows on who is yet to incur these costs. Abacus Pharma Limited, the sole distributors of Flamingo Pharmaceutical products, claim to have received the official communication from the National Drug Authority about the 3-year ban today, and are worried about the heavy losses of about 2.5 billion shillings, which they used to procure the drugs.
We are holding the goods worth of $1 million. We are holding the stock which is $1 million. And that's a completely, we can say it's a loss. Because it's a paid up stock. We already paid for that stock.
They add that by the time of factory inspections in June, the stock in their possession had already been cleared by the National Drug Authority.
When the product was imported, the plant was approved, the plant was inspected, the performer was verified by Drug Authority, the product was on the entry point, it was verified, and we imported as per the law. So why suddenly they said it's a rejection?
Meanwhile, the government drug watchdog has also revealed that all oral formulations like syrup from Flamingo Pharmaceuticals are to remain under suspension, pending conclusions from the ongoing investigations. Even with the warnings from NDA to the public against the use of these flamingo drugs and injectables, many in the public could still find it difficult to differentiate quality drugs from those blacklisted. Solomon Serwanja, NTV.
Well, it's bad enough having unlicensed pharmacies, but now we see fake drugs are among us right now. I would like to hear from you on this issue. We are asking on our NTV poll, do you think the move by the National Drug Authority to ban substandard drugs will improve the quality of others on the market? Do you think the move by the National Drug Authority to ban substandard medicines will improve the quality of drugs on the market?
Share your thoughts by texting to 8778. Start with a yes or no, as well as your name and where you're texting from. We will be reading some of your responses during and at the very end of tonight's newscast, and of course bring you the final poll result.
Okay, well, here's what is still to come on NTV tonight when we return from this break.
Usuk and Butambala decide candidates in last campaign to woo voters ahead of crucial polls.
And wallowing in pain, strange skin condition strikes 38-year-old man in Masaka.
NTV Tonight returns after a few moments. Do stay with us.
This is NTV.
Fieldwork has been defined by different scholars. Some think it is an art.
These are the blood types that are in human beings. We have A.
When a chemical
2x minus y is equal to 6.
To be honest, it's one of the most scary genres of music for me.
For me every day.
Irifemasi nisu badi magero.
This is NTV.
It's party time every day at 4:30 p.m. Feel the music. Try out your favorite dance strokes. Watch the latest music videos from artists around the world as you dance to the beat.
Girl, you got me screaming fiesta. Body language saying whatever.
Only on the beat. Monday to Friday on NTV, your official groove station.
Kwene embeera y'abasajja bano
essuubi nga lyakugwamu mama
bano abasajja abanaatera n'okujja kusigiriza ffe ekiro basituleko emiwumbo gy'emmere bagitwale
sogera byange
Tubanda bana bagamba ne bwagala nkubulira ebyange ja tugende emyanzi.
Mpulira abanyumya babeera bakujerega waliko omusawo w'ekinnaasi. South Africa baba bakujerega obituufu.
Baba banjerega. Oyo mufere mubbi yennyini yeetaaga mikko.
Welcome back. You're watching NTV Tonight. Now we start with a reminder of our NTV poll question for tonight and of course some of your responses. Tonight we ask, do you think the move by the National Drug Authority to ban substandard drugs will improve the quality of drugs on the market? I repeat, do you think the move by the National Drug Authority to ban substandard drugs will improve the quality on the market?
Well, to have your say, text your yes or no contribution or comment to 8778. Please do include where you are contributing from as well as your name. We shall now read some of those comments.
Jay Bryan saying yes, but the public is ignorant about the existence of fake drugs, hence an advantage to the dealers.
Okay, and Andrew Kawesa Sebarunyo, you say why not? It will, of course. But my question is, what have they been waiting for? Do we really need a motion for that? God help Uganda.
All right, there's still time for you to have your say. The number once again is 8778. We'll be reading a few more of your responses at the very end of tonight's newscast.
Okay, and there stands the tentative poll result before we move on. 81% of you are saying yes, and 19% of you say no.
All right, moving on. Today marked the final day of the campaigns in Usuk by-elections in Katakwi district with massive deployment of police and the army in the area. There are 10 candidates vying for this constituency.
Well, so far all the candidates are promising victory, but there is already division within the NRM camp after Oromite Proskovia was picked as the party's flag bearer.
Maurice Ochol is in Usuk Katakwi and joined us earlier online with this report.
Well, the campaigns, I could say they are going on very well so far. There have not been any violence recorded so far, but there is also massive deployment of police, and then the army also have been there. Perhaps the army maybe have been deployed because of the president was also around, but everything is calm so far. For now, the big shot is one of them is the independent candidate, that's Lenny Ojok, who was once in the NRM, but then of course decided to cross over to independent, looking at the fact that he claims he was denied the fact to stand as the flag bearer, which was the official flag bearer. Then the second contender, of course, is the FDC, that's Okure. Then the third one is Oromite Alengot, who is the NRM now current flag bearer. The 19-year-old girl who also happens to be the daughter of the late Michael Oromite, who was the Honorable Member of Parliament for Usuk County. Most of them now, looking at the strong ones, of course, Ojok Oleny, who is the independent, he was just calling upon most of his people to come in big number and vote for him. But critical among it, he was bringing out the issue of course, the NRM that he claims was trying to, stab him behind the back, and also, not being there for him and saying that they're trying to, he was basically talking of how they're bribing many people not to get into his camp, and then other people also need to go and vote for him. And then for the other candidate, the FDC candidate, it all seems to be well for him, looking at the fact that most of the FDC stalwarts are all over here, the Nandala Mafavis, the Mugisha Montus around, Ali Salassos, Dr. Kiza Best also was around today, just left back for Kampala. So all seems well for him also. He's hoping for the best. And the other candidate, the NRM flag bearer, that's Proskovia Alengot, she spoke while the president was there, looking at the fact that maybe she is just 19 years. She is going to fight for the cause, and then the youth mainly. And of course, the last message that she was talking about was that people shouldn't minimize her looking at her age. That was her core message.
Now, campaigns for the Butambala parliamentary by-elections have come to an end, with candidates traversing the entire constituency trying to woo voters for the last time ahead of Wednesday's polls. The closing day of the hotly contested seat also caught the attention of the First Lady Janet Museveni. 5 candidates are in the race for the parliamentary seat that fell vacant in August this year after court nullified Chikulukunyu's election victory over voter bribery. Now we'll be bringing you the details of that report in tonight's newscast. Moving on, a 38-year-old man is battling a strange disease in Rwanda village Masaka district that causes his skin to itch, peel off and rot when wet. Attempts by Emmanuel Kasaga to seek a cure for his ailment from both traditional healers and medical doctors has so far been futile.
Although able to talk and eat, Emmanuel Kasaga has been bedridden for about 3 months now. Not much is left of his skin, as all there is to see is white powder over a scaly coating. Neither himself nor his relatives knows the cause of this strange skin-destroying disease, which causes his body to have a bad odor. Emmanuel says he developed a pimple near his navel. Later on, many others spread out all over his body, resulting into the current state of his skin. On occasions when Emmanuel's skin gets wet, maggots begin to crawl out of it. So in order to keep it dry, his caretakers sprinkle perfumed powder on him. However, Dr. Bulasio Kabugo from Buramu Medical Clinic in Masaka district suspects Kasaga's condition could be as a result of allergy.
It appears to be a skin reaction. Usually some people get allergic reactions to unknown causes. So it could have been a fungal infection which resulted into those wounds, which were secondarily infected by bacterial infections, and finally you find flies getting into those wounds. So we end up with the maggots they are complaining about.
Until Kasaga gets proper medical care, his condition could only worsen. For now, he can only afford the cheapest services to keep himself alive.
I wish that gentleman gets better from that skin ailment. Malcolm Musime will be in the studio to bring us NTV Business in just a short while. Stay with us.
This is NTV.
I'm knocking. A message yali ku the last piece of a jambi yali muhadi wa yonna. No, bloody way, holy moly.
We've just met. How can I be your friend? Mr. Rashmond. Okuzimba nyumba nga kintu kizibu nnyo banange mugumire mu bupangisa. Come.
I'm called Olar Oton. There's no English name. Just like resistance, Yakazol.
I blame you. You have option of getting international husband. Why do you get it broken?
New time. Ice, baby. Alright, stop. Collaborate and listen. I sit back. Give me hope, Joanna. Give me hope, Joanna. Give me hope, Joanna. For the morning come. Give me hope. With different colors. One people. Different colors. One people.
You got to know when to hold up, know when to fold up, know when to walk away, and know when to...
This is NTV. This is NTV. NTV.
Ideally, we all have the right to express our opinions and views truthfully and openly.
Atele long tugenda katongole mbukasam.
Kampala bwerere mwansomu the bus. The discussion is still going on in the bus.
Tulina okugumira challenges ezimu gwe tuba tulina okugoba abatembeeyi mwami lukwaga agumaga abatembeeyi mugende.
Thanks ever so much for watching NTV. This is Monday's NTV Business. My name is Malcolm Sime. Now, with an apparent task of widening the tax base, which remains below the sub-Saharan average, the Uganda Revenue Authority will resort to strategic partnerships with other public-private databases to net those who should pay tax but are not. On that list are utility companies' databases, besides others like the Register of Companies. NTV's Samuel Setumba was there.
As Uganda Revenue Authority embarks on its 8th Taxpayers Appreciation Week with several activities, it still stares at a hurdle that has for very long proved hard to achieve, despite meeting all revenue targets set for it. Reaching the 15% level of gross domestic production in revenue collection, URA has put part of its faith in technology to help it with this hurdle.
Through the e-tax service, we are able to identify many more taxpayers who are supposed to be under the tax bracket or the tax rider. We require that as you make a return, you give us a list of your suppliers. Which suppliers, of course, if you're going to benefit from a tax refund, have to be VAT registered, for instance.
URA is also turning to other databases like KCC, Register of Companies, Umeme, and National Water, among others. This year's Taxpayers Week is especially related to Uganda's 50-year-old independence anniversary.
If you have a vehicle and you want to validate it, find out if you're actually the rightful owner, or if you have actually entering the motor vehicle, you can actually also be able to do that along other e-tax services.
Thank you, Sam. Now, pundits in the insurance industry say that compliance of the public with the mandatory motor vehicle third party is still a challenge that needs to be addressed. Players also note that the problem is compounded by the delays on the part of some of the insurers to process compensation for motor accident victims, thus affecting the market's appreciation of the insurance service. Reynald John was there.
At 249 billion shillings in premium collections each year, the Insurance Regulatory Authority says that while widening the threshold for business products such as motor vehicle third party remains a key factor, payment of claims also need to be adhered to by insurers.
Sometimes the money is too little, and depending on the procedure that's followed by the insurer, sometimes they ask for letters of administration whereby what you're going to get is very limited and it's not worth following up. But they do pay, and if they don't pay, IRA actually has a complaints bureau.
Even then, the Uganda Insurers Association argues that compliance on mandatory third-party stickers by the public remains low at just 3% of the total industry collection annually.
I'm also looking to work with Uganda Revenue Authority as well as the Ministry of Transport to ensure that the different motorists comply. You will find that the insurance industry is not just a question of gathering money, it's a question of underwriting a risk to which a number of members benefit, and not other parties by virtue of law.
These officials were responding to queries by the media at an event here in Kampala where the Insurance Regulatory Authority announced the introduction of a 0.5% levy on all policies under cover by the public effective 1st of this October.
It's going to be collected by the insurance companies. It will then be remitted to the Insurance Regulatory Authority and then passed on to the Insurance Institute. We're having changes within the governance structures of the institute. We're going to have a board of trustees.
When you do not have a local capacity to explain the product, you definitely have low capacity of sales. And even the few people who buy might not be getting proper explanations of what they buy.
Reina Ojen, NTV Business.
In the equity markets, the Uganda Clays Counter saw more shares exchanging hands, followed by DFCU. Overall, there was a fair mix in stock gains and losses in several counters, all share index gaining by 7 points to 1,120 shillings. We have more in this report.
Financial Report is brought to you by URA, developing Uganda together.
All vehicles are required to revalidate their registration using our new online module and get a new logbook. All newly imported vehicles will also be registered online using this new online module. Get out of the line and get online.
And finally, in international business, the Italian economy shrunk by 0.8% between April and June, slightly more than previously estimated. Official figures have shown a bigger drop in the investment and consumer spending, accounted for the downward revision from the 0.7% contraction estimated last month.
Italy's economy shrunk by 2.6% compared with the year earlier, with a previous estimate of 2.5%, according to the country's National Statistics Institute. Compared with the previous quarter, domestic consumption fell by 0.7%, while investment dropped by 2.3%. The size of contraction took many by surprise, with observers pointing at the size of the contraction in consumer spending as a particularly bad surprise. The Italian economy, the Eurozone's third largest, has contracted for the past 4 quarters as the government has implemented a series of drastic spending cuts designed to cut its debt levels, which currently stands at more than the country's annual economic output. Another Eurozone heavyweight economy, France, is also set for contraction following 3 consecutive quarters of zero growth. Today, the country's central bank confirmed it expected the economy to shrink by 0.1% in the current quarter. This is despite figures from the National Statistics Institute showing that industrial production rose by a higher than expected 0.2% in July compared with the previous month. And on Sunday, French President François Hollande said he expected economic growth in France to be barely above zero in 2012.
Thank you so much for your time. That's it we had for you from the business desk. But do stay with us. Joel Kamadi will be bringing you all the sports.
This is NTV.
I'm knocking. A message yali ku the last piece of a jambia yali muhadi wa yonna. No, bloody way, holy moly.
We've just met. How can I be your friend? Mr. Rashmond. Okuzimba nyumba nga kintu kizibu nnyo banange mugumire mu bupangisa. Come.
I'm called Olar Oton. There's no English name. Just like resistance, Yakazol.
I blame you. You have option of getting international husband. Why do you get it local?
New time.
Ideally, we all have the right to express our opinions and views truthfully and openly.
Atele long tugenda katongole mbukasam.
Kampala bwerere mwansomu the buzz. The discussion is still going on in the bus.
Tulina okugumira challenges ezimu bwe tuba tulina okugoba abatembeeyi mwami lukwaga agumaga abatembeeyi mugende.
Never. No.
Badenda
kunyonyola omukulu
mbadde njala kunyonyola omwami yagambye nti meya Lukwago ye meya omutuufu. Gavumenti ekutte Lukwago emunyigira mu nsonga takyekyusa.
Welcome back to Minibus Kyogereko.
Teko omusajja abankwana nga njagala sifa ku kya ssente wabula nfa ku mbeera yeeyisanga.
Good evening and welcome to NTV Sport. I am Joel Kamadi. Now, the Uganda Cranes players remain confident ahead of their African Nations Cup return leg despite losing to Zambia in the first leg in Ndola last weekend. The Cranes need to beat Zambia by a 2-0 goal margin to make history of returning to the continental finals after 34 years.
Despite losing to the Chipolopolo of Zambia by 1-0 in the first leg of the 2013 Africa Cup of Nations qualifiers, the Uganda Cranes are still a motivated side ahead of the second leg due in Kampala next month. The Cranes succumbed to a Chris Katonga goal in the 21st minute of the game, in a situation that the last three men in the Cranes defense believe could have been avoided.
We slept a little bit when we conceded that goal. You saw the loose marking in the defenders, and that is how Katongo managed to score.
We should have done better on that goal, but it's what it is. You know, that's the result God gave us. So we just have to focus on the next stage because football is about tomorrow.
Even though we lost concentration in the throw-in, I think it wasn't too bad. We managed to rectify the mistake in the second half, and yeah, we took it from there.
However, the players believe the 1-goal deficit will be easy to overturn on home soil come 13th October.
We all know that we're more powerful at Nambole, but we need to work so hard because it won't come just from nowhere. We need to work for it, and we believe we can do it at Nambole.
Because if we had conceded like 2 goals, it would be a very big burden for us at home, like to score 3 goals. But now that we conceded 1 goal, we lost 1 goal, we can as well come. We are playing at home in the return leg at home, and if we get a goal, then we would have leveled everything.
Come October, everybody is going to be fit, well set, and we should put up a better fight, and God willing, we should be able to dominate here at home.
The Cranes have not lost a game at Nambole Stadium in over 7 years, a record the players hope to bank on to eliminate Zambia on top of the home crowd. Sam Poza, NTV Sport.
Now, the African Nations Cup qualifier between Algeria and Libya was moved to avoid violence, but it did not stop players from scrabbling at full time. With Libya still recovering from civil war, their clash with Algeria was moved to a neutral venue in Casablanca, Morocco. However, after Algeria's substitute Soudani scored a late winner, things turned sour. Algeria's Islam Slimani could be seen karate kicking Libya's Mohamed El Moghrabi in the back after the final whistle. And the other players and staff also got involved as the ugly scenes escalated. Soudani's goal gives the Algerians a crucial lead heading into the second leg on Wednesday. This winner of the tie will automatically qualify for the Africa Cup of Nations next year. But elsewhere, however, Mozambique and Zimbabwe established 2-goal first-leg advantages on Sunday in pursuit of the 2013 Africa Cup of Nations places. Here are some of the results. Finally, in international sport, midfielder James Milner believes the squad can comfortably deal with the absence of injured defender John Terry, and Wayne Rooney commits to the club, rubbishing speculation about his future. Former skipper Terry has been ruled out of tomorrow's World Cup qualifier against Ukraine after suffering an ankle injury in Friday's 5-0 win over Moldova. But Milner, who scored his first senior international goal in the rout, reckons Roy Hodgson's squad can play to the same high standards even without the experienced Chelsea captain.
Yeah, I mean, he's a top player, we all know that, and obviously performed well the other night, and unfortunate to pick up an injury, but
I think you can see the strength of the squad and players that we do have. We're fortunate we've got a number of options who can step in, Jags or Gaz Kale or a number of others, ways he could go, the manager. So it's good for someone else to step in and have a chance, and it's not going to weaken the team in any way. Obviously, JT's a top player and going to be tough to replace, but like I said, we've got a number of top candidates who can step straight in, and shouldn't be too much of a... we showed in the summer that they're no pushovers, they're a strong side, a number of good players and well organised and work very hard, pressure for 90 minutes, so we need to be on the top of our games, and if we can perform like we did the other night and come out of the traps, hopefully we can get an early goal again and settle down and play some good football.
Meanwhile, Manchester United's £24 million signing Robin van Persie is already at the club, and Wayne Rooney is excited about linking up with the Dutch striker.
You want the best players at your football club, and he's certainly one of them. And so we're looking forward to the challenge, and we all have to make sure when we're playing, we play well to stay in the team.
Rooney suffered a gash in the win over Fulham, which was only a millimeter from the main artery, and he'll be out of action until the end of the month.
Obviously, it's frustrating, and it's not nice sitting there watching, and I'm not really a great watcher, so I feel okay. I'm working hard at training, and hopefully it won't be too long before I'm back playing. But to be honest, I've been quite lucky. I haven't really had any big muscle injuries or nothing, so which they're harmful ones when you get them, and I've had the open bones or whatever, but they're quite easier to come back from than a torn hamstring or thigh or whatever, so I've been quite lucky in that way.
Rooney has been linked to the move away from Old Trafford, but has rubbished those claims, insisting he wants to stay at the club he loves.
To be honest, you'd expect it nowadays, and it's not something which really concerns me, to be honest. I don't really take much notice of it, and I was on the bench. I played 2.5 games pre-season, and I know myself, I need 3 or 4 games to be 100% ready and fit this season, and obviously the new signing, which the manager said he wanted to play in first home game, and so it's no problem, and if the manager wants to leave me on the bench, I've no problem. I'm happy to fight for my place, and that's what I'll do, and make sure I get back in that team.
And we do apologize for that slight sound hitch. That winds up NTV Sport for tonight. Thanks for watching.
And now for a look at Tuesday's weather forecast.
NTV Weather with
Roofings, it is the strength of our nation.
We strengthen the factories, homes, schools, and the offices that strengthen the nation.
Roofings, it is the strength of our nation.
And now back to one of our stories on the Butambala campaigns. The parliamentary by-elections have come to an end, with candidates traversing the entire constituency, trying to move voters for the last time ahead of Wednesday's polls.
Well, the closing day of the hotly contested seat also drew the attention of the First Lady, Janet Museveni. 5
candidates are in the race for the parliamentary seat that fell vacant in August this year after court nullified Chikulukunyu's election victory over voter bribery.
Our reporter Julius Senkandwa is in Butambala and he sent us this story.
These are part of the DP supporters who gathered here at Kankesa village in Ibolo sub-county ahead of their candidates' final rally. It has been the final day of campaigns ahead of the Wednesday polls, with different candidates doing all it takes to voters. DP's Mwanga Chivumbi, flanked by fellow DP supporters including MPs, promised to ensure that all Butambala concerns are addressed once he is elected.
Fighting tooth and nail to ensure that we root out corruption in this country.
And NRM's candidate Faiso Chikurukunyu staged his rally at Gombe town and was accompanied by top NRM cadres led by the First Lady Janet Museveni. Five candidates are in the race, including two independents, Faruk Warungama and Sentongo Nabale, Uganda Federal Alliance's Batemieto Ibrahim, DP's Mwanga Chivumbi, and Faizo Chikurukunyu of NRM. The by-election is as a result of the Court of Appeals ruling, which nullified Chikurukunyu's 2011 victory over voter bribery. Julius Senkandwa, NTV.
Alright, we'll now take you back to tonight's NTV poll, and we asked you, do you think the move by the National Drug Authority to ban substandard drugs will improve the quality of drugs on the market?
Well, thank you for all of your comments. The final poll result is out. 67% of our respondents are saying yes, 33% of you say no.
Now, we do appreciate all your responses. We'll quickly read out a few. We have Kenneth Mwehonge in Mengo saying, National Drug Authority should stop firefighting response to ensure quality medicine, but instead strengthen its regulation of medicines that enter the country, especially at the porous borders.
Okay, and Frank Mbene, you say yes, it will, but much attention though should be put on drugs when they're being imported. The standard should be checked then. For now though, the substandard, call them poisonous medicines if you like, are already in circulation.
And Habib Nanywa saying yes, the National Drug Authority must go further and prosecute these dealers for medically murdering Ugandans.
Okay, and Jeff Atkins Winston, you say it is wasting time. National Drugs Authority has already failed in its work.
Okay, we do appreciate you once again sending through your responses, and that concludes NTV tonight. I will return later with NTV at night for a final roundup of the day's main developments. For now, that's Monday's NTV Tonight. I am Rachel Arinitwe.
And I'm Gabriel Apeno. Thanks for watching.
Coming up. This is NTV.